I need to know if I'm in the trenches and I'm double teamed, I'm triple teamed, I got the ball, it's hard for me to create the shot. I need to know I could pass you the ball and you're going to be in that perfect spot to shoot it. I don't want to have that feeling, man. If I pass you the ball, that thing going to go doom, 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 into the stands. Because you ain't at your spot. You ain't at your post. I came up in here relying on you, and you talking about you showed up for the support. You in the stands.
Call your first witness. I got Kenneth Willis. He bought his business, he gon' take it the distance. Listen, he giving gaming, believing high level represent. Call your first witness. Yeah, call your first witness.
Griff has been paid for this endorsement.
What's good, beautiful people? It's your boy K Will. Welcome to another episode of Call Your First Witness. Thank you for tuning in. I'm very, very excited for today's show. I'm going to try to bring you some inspiration, some motivation for you. When I started this podcast, I wanted a heavy emphasis to be geared on inspiration and motivation. And so thank you for tuning in. I got some great feedback from my first inspirational message entitled, Why Would You? Be careful of why would you, folks. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's episode 3, man. And, you know, it was a heartfelt message. But listen, man, I want to talk about an organization that, man, this organization, I love them so much, man. It's called Black Men Run New Orleans. And the emphasis on this organization is just to encourage people, particularly black men, to run, take care of their health. Part of taking care of your health is just running. And a lot of us, unfortunately, do not partake in that exercise. And for a long time, I was one of those guys, you know. So shout out to Black Men Run. They not paying me for delivering this message. They didn't ask me to do this. This is something that I felt I wanted to do. I've been running with them for about a little over 2 years. Those brothers mean so much to me, man. It's hard to even explain. I mean, I joined them at a time in my life where I was going through a whole lot. I was introduced to those brothers from some friends, man. My kids, they would play on Saturday mornings, and I have friends who I met through my kids. They go to some of them go to the same school. And, you know, some of the brothers, the parents were in Black Men Run. And so shout out to Chris, Javon, Jaron. Like, these brothers, they would always talk about running. Some of them would have running gear on. And just by talking to them, they would share with me the organization that they was with. So that was how I found out about Black Men Run, right? And so something told me I need to go out there with them brothers. You know, it won't hurt. Let me go out there and run. And y'all, my experience, it was more than just running with brothers. And when I say brothers, it's not just black men. There are white men also, not as much as black men. I mean, we all come together and support one another, lift one another up. And it's, like I said, it's more than just running, man. It's love, it's vulnerability. We sharing our life experiences, some of the trauma we went through, some of the things we dealing with, whether it be divorce, relationship issues, spiritual. I mean, it's everything. Anyway, I've been running with those brothers for about 2 years, right? And so at the beginning of this year, right, every first Saturday, we run on Saturdays. Every first Saturday is non-negotiable that we run at the Baldwin Bookstore. Now, if you're not familiar with this bookstore, it's a bookstore in a coffee shop. It's in New Orleans, kind of on the corner of St. Claude and Elysian Fields. Black owned, shout out to DJ. It's a great establishment, man. When I go and try to get my grind on, try to wake up early in the morning, sometimes I got to get away from the kids and just focus. I'm at Baldwin, right? But every Saturday, every first Saturday of the month, we at Baldwin. That's where we start our route. And typically speaking, we run about 3 to 4 miles, anywhere between 3 and 4 miles. We start at Baldwin. We run towards the French Quarter, like we headed downtown, through the French Quarter. I mean, you got to imagine it's a bunch of brothers, and we running all the way from Elysian Fields towards the French Quarter. We running through Cafe Du Monde. We running through the French Market, right? You may see musicians on Decatur playing music. I mean, this is about 8 o'clock, 8:15 early in the morning. It's a beautiful thing, man. Little music, little jazz in the background. You know how we do it in New Orleans, right? And just envision that. You can see the skyline, the Crescent City Bridge, and we just running early in the morning. And so the route is beautiful because we run through the French Quarter. Then now we headed downtown. We on Poydras, right? It's just a beautiful experience, and every Saturday is different locations. That Saturday, like I say, we at Baldwin. The next Saturday, we could be uptown at Audubon Park. Another Saturday, we'll be in the east at Joe Brown Park, right? We'll go to City Park. I mean, just different places. We'll hit up the West Bank and Old Algiers, run on the levee. I mean, just a different scenery every Saturday. But this particular Saturday was an interesting Saturday because it was the first Saturday of 2024, right? And you know how it is. New year, new beginnings, new chapter, new thoughts, all bad things, put it behind you. Clean slate. You know how it is come New Year. So it's the beginning of the year, man. We feeling good. We excited. We energized. Again, first Saturday of the month, first Saturday of the year, we at Baldwin. And Howard, shout out to Howard, our team captain. He like, listen, brothers, we're going to try something different today, right? You know, normally we all run together. There's a big emphasis on all the brothers running together. And the reason why that's important is because our emphasis is placed on bringing everybody to come and run with us. We don't care how inexperienced you are, whether this your first time running, whether this you run every Saturday. We want to be inclusive in terms of encouraging people to run. So we don't want people to be intimidated, feel like, man, I ain't going to be able to keep up with the brothers and stuff like that. So we all run at a collective rate. But this particular Saturday, Howard was like, listen, bro, y'all could go open up the pipes. You know what I mean? Just make sure when you get close to the destination, come back for your brothers who are behind. That's all he asks. That's all Howard is saying. All I ask is y'all could go, y'all could run at y'all pace, but when y'all done, just come back. And that's the beauty of this organization. It don't matter if Howard would say it or not. The brothers know if you finish, you got to come back and get the brothers trailing. So you got to understand, look, they got some bona fide runners. You know what I mean? Like this, we got a good mix of people who run, I don't know, professionally. We got people who are, run on a consistent basis. And then you got beginners. Now you got to understand, I'm comfortable. I look like a runner. You dig? I could call myself a runner. I got running shoes. I got running shorts. I got those little high, those high shorts, man. You know what I mean? That got you out there looking like John Stockton or somebody. You know what I mean? Like we used to call them Daisy Dukes back in the day, right? I got the shorts. I got the whole running look. I got the on clouds. I look like a runner. Because the first day I showed up, everybody a joke with me. The first day I showed up, I had J's on and basketball shorts. Right? That was day one for me. So I've evolved into a bona fide, and I at least look like a runner. You can't say I don't look like that dude, but still I would consider myself not so much a beginner, but, I'm consistent. I'm out there every Saturday, non-negotiable. And so, it's a group of us. And so he's telling the brothers, he's like, listen, man, y'all could open up the pipes this Saturday morning. And I ain't no fool because I'm like, hold up. I'm more closer to a beginner than I am, I don't know, a moderate runner. I'm more closer to the beginner spectrum. So, man, those brothers go to running. After mile 1, we all together. You understand? Then it's mile 2. And then all of a sudden, man, here it go, man. I'm kind of, them boys leaving. They start to open up the pipes. And listen, I'm not stupid, right? I know what my environment is. I know who I'm running with. I know they got some bona fide runners we running with. You understand? These boys go to competition. They compete nationally, come back home with hardware. I mean, they placing. That ain't me. That ain't me. I got a long way to go. I don't even go. Like I just say, man, I'm gonna holler at y'all when y'all get back. I'm gonna run on my own this Saturday morning. I'm gonna catch up with y'all when y'all come back. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. Send me some pics. I'm rooting for y'all, but good luck, because mentally I'm just not there yet, right? Maybe it's an excuse. Maybe I'm looking for ways to get out of it, but I'm just not there. So I know when Howard said open up the pipes, I'm like, ooh, hold up, man. And see, you got to be careful, because the beautiful thing about running with these brothers is when you stay with the pack, you advance, you elevate yourself, right? But at the same time, I'm thinking in my mind, yeah, I know mile one, I'm running with them, but as they're moving, my heart is beating faster. You know what I'm talking about if you run. And I'm like, oh man, I know how this gonna go if I try to stay with these brothers. We running 4 miles. I don't want to stop. I'm thinking about the destination. I'm like, if I try to hang with these brothers, I'm not gonna make it. And so I start to lag back, right? I start to lag back. And so, like I said, in true fashion, at least somebody gonna slow down and make sure I'm good. So Val done made sure I was good. The Captain Howard slowed up and made sure I was good. And so, Val in true fashion, he like, look, how you looking? I said, man, I'm good, man. I just, you know what I mean? I know if I try to keep with y'all brothers, man, I might not make it. And he was like, all good, bro. It's cool, man. You good. Just keep running your pace. You don't have to try to keep up with everybody as long as you know what your pace is. And then Howard kind of drift back. And he with me, and I'm talking to those brothers, and I'm like, man, I'm in this weird spot. I'm in this weird spot where I know what my limits are, right? And so I don't want to run at the rate the other brothers running, because I feel like I'm not going to make it. But then at the same time, I feel like I'm not evolving because I'm kind of lagging back, and I'm just in the same space for probably a year now. Just kind of lagging back. And so Howard is saying what's on my mind. Howard was like, look, bro, you got to be intentional about this. How much you running, outside of Saturday mornings. And I'm thinking the same thing, because it's hit me like, man, I want to stick with these brothers. I appreciate Val and Howard slowing down for me. But at the same time, am I really evolving? And so when Howard uses the word intent, that resonates with us. When we talk about intent, we talking about a certain mindset, right? And so I'm like, wow, that's interesting when he say intent, because I'm out here, I'm out here. I evolved from just the J's and the basketball shorts. I look like a runner. I'm consistent. I'm showing up every Saturday morning. So I have the intent to evolve, but then I realize, what's my level of intent? Yes. So there are certain levels of intent. And so it made me think of, man, that remind me of law school, or that remind me of the practice of law. Whenever you're talking about criminal law, there's certain levels of intent. There's general intent, and then there's specific intent, right? And so general is just this, you just got to be reasonably certain that the consequences are going to follow as a result of your actions. Just reasonably certain. And so whatever crime that requires general intent, you know what I mean? There's a specific sentence, and it's not as severe as those crimes that require specific intent. That's a different level of intent. The law says, do you consciously desire for the consequences to carry out from your actions? You have to actively desire these consequences. Different levels. And so it made me wonder, when we're talking about running or evolving, there are different levels of intent. If I'm trying to keep up with these boys because they run on a consistent basis and they run more than me, they compete, they running multiple times throughout the week, they competing nationally, they going to marathons, and I'm at home, am I laser focused? Am I really trying to evolve, or am I just patting myself on the back and saying I'm showing up? So I realized in that run, I'm like, oh man, guess what? I'm consistently stagnant. I can't hang with these boys, they got to drift back to make sure they don't leave me behind. But I feel some type of way because I'm like, I need to at least be running with them. And so I felt like I was in a weird spot. And I just believe a lot of people, whatever stage you are in your life, whatever you pursuing, whatever your endeavor is, whether it be health, whether it's athletics, whether it's your career, I think sometimes we get in this place where we consistently stagnant. And we have to ask ourselves, what is our level of intent? How much time we put, how much are we really laser focused, or are we just patting ourselves to just show up? I'm just showing up. Cause 2 years back, I'm not running. I'm definitely not running. So I'm patting myself on the back, but am I actively desiring to evolve? I got to watch with all these gadgets on it. Am I really paying close attention to my time when I'm running? How often am I running throughout the week? You know what I mean? I'm running once a week. Is that sufficient if I'm trying to evolve? What does my health look like? What does my water intake look like? What's my level of intent if I'm really trying to take this to the next level? Some of you won't be trial lawyers. Some of you want to be trial lawyers. I'm talking to lawyers who are venturing into the criminal defense space. Maybe you're still in law school. What is your level of intent to become a trial lawyer? How much time you putting into your craft? You can say, well, look, you know, I didn't purchase a whole lot of books on trial lawyers. I didn't research all the heavy hitters across the land, and I'm reading about their success stories and all that kind of stuff. I got a question for you. How many cases you tried? How many cases are you slated to try this month? How many cases are you slated to try this year? Let's be honest with ourselves. Are we really handling cases that may ultimately go to trial? Because in the criminal world, it's about 95% of cases plea out. They get resolved, meaning they don't go to trial. So are you in an environment where there is a high likelihood that you're going to be able to hone your trial skills? So you might need to assess that. If you say you want to be a trial lawyer, you might need to be in an environment where there is a likelihood that you're going to end up in trial. And when I say end up in trial, understand we always put our clients first. So if our client, we lay out the risk for our client and we let them know, listen, these are the strengths of your case. These are the weaknesses. This is the time you facing. We lay it out for the client, and the client says, listen, man, I don't want to run the risk and lose this trial, and now I got to go to prison, right? So I'd rather take this plea. We got to lay it out for them. We can't ever put our personal agenda before the client. So a lot of times we got cases that we want to go to trial, but it's in the client's best interest to plea, because at the end of the day, we going home. We going home. So we can't put our personal interest in front of the client. So at some point you got to realize, man, how am I going to elevate if most of my cases plea out? Where you working at? Are you working privately? Have you considered working at a public defender's office? A lot of times, if you're working at a public defender's office, there is a high likelihood that you may be trying cases. That's where I cut my teeth at, working at a public defender's office. That's where I got my trial experience from. Shout out to St. Landry Parish, man. I grew as a trial lawyer, going to court. And it wasn't easy, because you still got to fit. Even if you're a public defender, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to trial. You might be in a culture, you might be in a certain jurisdiction where they don't typically go to trials. You're like, what you talking about, Kenneth? What do you mean being in a jurisdiction they don't typically go to trials? Man, sometimes you got to assess the environment you in. There are some jurisdictions where if you go on a trial on a second-degree battery or something like a low-level felony, man, everybody looking at you like, what you doing? Your client can't just plea out. We only go to trials on murders, man, rapes, serious people looking at serious time. People don't got, nothing to lose because the DA ain't offering no deals. What you talking about a second degree battery? When I started, man, I don't know whether I was just confident or I was just pragmatic, man. I was like, y'all not offering any deals. I'm looking at the file. Y'all don't have enough evidence to convict my client, and y'all not trying to dismiss this case. So it's either dismissal or trial. What are you talking about? I understand this not a murder, but y'all gonna have to do something. And so it was that mentality that I had where it's like, listen, are we going to trial? Well, I'll call your first witness. All right, we picking a jury tomorrow. Okay, we picking a jury. And so I'm looking at them with a straight face. Some of these prosecutors thought I was afraid because they really didn't know me. They only knew me as the law clerk. And so when I got the position from law clerk to I was a drug court attorney, and then I got a position to be a felony attorney, they didn't know me to be a trial lawyer. And so here I am, fresh. I don't know, I'm about 26, 27, right? And I'm talking about if y'all don't dismiss it, we gonna have to try it. And so I'm bucking the system, and sometimes the jurisdiction you like, man, we don't spend a whole lot of time on these type of cases. This ain't a murder. And so I done had cases where seasoned attorneys were like, look, man, you need to call Willis, man. Willis tripping. Willis clogging up the docket because he won't go to trial on this low-level felony. Man, he tell him he need to get his client to take this plea. Right? They calling other public defenders to call me and say, tell your client you need to take this plea because we don't got time to be fighting like this. He tripping. Willis tripping. You know, one of my boys was like, he was a fellow public defender. He was like, he told the prosecutor, how you want me to call Willis and tell him he need to chill on that and he winning? You got a problem with this man filing a motion to suppress evidence and he just had a hearing where he won. And then 2 weeks ago, he had another hearing, filed a motion to suppress. He won that hearing. How you want me to call this man up and tell him he need to shut that down? You forgot there was just a case that was scheduled for trial. He called ready on it. Y'all called ready. Y'all picked the whole jury. And then after y'all realized Kenneth was serious about going to trial, his client was serious, y'all had to dismiss the case. You want me to call him up and tell him to chill? So that's what I was doing, man. I don't know. I guess I was bucking the system. Because again, whether it was confidence, whether it was just me being pragmatic, listen, if y'all don't have the evidence, it don't make sense for my client to plea. You got to assess what environment are you in? What type of person are you? Are you equipped to buck the system? Do you got it in you? Because it ain't just the DA. Sometimes the judges be looking at you like, man, you need to, what you mean trial? We're not going to spend this kind of time taking this case to trial. So you got to look at the judge and his or her face. You got to look at the prosecutor and say, my client ain't taking his plea and the prosecutor ain't dismissing the case. So it's going to be a trial. And if you in an environment, if you can't stand up against that system and they forcing you to conform, you got to assess, what am I here for? That's a real level of assessment. You got to be really objective with yourself. Like, man, I don't know if it's in my best interest. So maybe you need to go somewhere else. Maybe that particular jurisdiction is not the jurisdiction conducive for you to fight. I know other jurisdictions, man, that's the brand. In Orleans Parish, it's the brand. The public defender's office, that's the brand. The judges know, listen, man, they in court every day, all day. The whole courthouse is designated to criminal law, the only building in the state of Louisiana. The philosophy is, look, we ain't up in here just playing just to be playing. We'll have bench trials. We'll have jury trials. It's a different environment. And so you got to check and see what's your environment. If you trying to evolve, if you want to fight for your client, if you know you want to be better as a trial lawyer, you got to assess your environment. If it's not in you to buck the system, that's cool. It ain't for everybody. It may affect your bottom line. It may affect because you live in that parish. I don't know. You might want to run for something. So you feel a little uneasy. But if you're talking about having an intentionality to evolve, you might need to go somewhere else, to another public defender's office. If you are trying to evolve, right? You know, you don't need me to tell you, man, criminal law, man, it's particularly criminal defense, man, A lot of passion there. Yeah, you could make good money. Don't get me wrong, but if you in it for the money, man, you might get disappointed. You might. Or you might go on a run, you might get hot and never know what it looks like to be trying to figure out how you're going to pay the bills or how you're going to get that phone to ring or how you're going to get that dough to swing. You might go on a run. I don't know. I tell you what, that wasn't me. That begins to be another question where you like, man, this is my passion and I'm trying to elevate. How can I put myself in a position where I'm in that courtroom? Sometimes you can't worry about the money. Sometimes you might want to team up with somebody. Sometimes you might want assess the lay of the land, assess all the lawyers who making things happen. You know who they are out there. You've heard their names, their name ringing, and go up to them and be like, man, would you mind if I sit second chair on your case? I don't want any money. I don't need a check. I don't need any of that. I just want to learn more. I'm not going to trial enough. Most of my cases pleading, 95% of my cases are pleading, but I won't be in a courtroom. I want to experience picking a jury. I want to experience cross-examining a lead detective. I want to present an opening statement. I never had that experience, or when I had that experience, I enjoyed it so much, but it's so few and far in between. Would you mind if I just sit second chair with you? Again, we can't be looking for the money. And see, second chair, let me tell you something. Second chair is a high responsibility. It ain't just I'm going to just sit at the table with you. If you want to be second chair, you got to immerse yourself in this case. You got to know this case like the back of your hand. You have to be proactive on the objections that may be raised. You got to do research for co-counsel. If he or she don't know the case, you got to be like, here, boom, I did that research already on top of it. I knew the prosecutor would make that argument. Here's the case to back up your argument for the judge. And you doing that for free. Because now what you're doing is you're building that trust with the lawyer you're working with. Think about that. Now you got to build trust with somebody that's not even paying you. But how bad you want this? What's your level of intent? Yes. Right? Because that lead counsel is not going to automatically trust you. I remember, man, many, many years ago, there was a trial lawyer who I eventually replaced. He retired and I replaced his position, or he stepped down from that position and I replaced him. But before he stepped down, I remember going up to him. I was still a felony attorney. I didn't do the high level murders or anything. I was doing more so the low level felonies. But I approached him one day and I was like, man, would you mind me sitting second chair with you? Y'all, he turned me down respectfully. He was like, Willis, man, I appreciate that, man. But look, at the end of the day, this all going to come down to me and what I did or didn't do. And so because of that, man, I just like to focus on everything myself. And I respected his position. I really did. It made me think. I was like, wow, man, I normally when you volunteer your services, that's the best way to go. I didn't ask him for money. I just said, man, I want to help you. I would have thought that he wanted help. He was a public defender. So he had a high caseload. I would have thought he would have been like, yeah, bro, man, I was just hoping I could pay somebody or bring somebody on. I just don't have the money to bring them on. He told me no. And and although I received what he said, I didn't quite understand what he meant until I was in those shoes. I became lead attorney. I started taking murder cases. I was tapped to be the high-level defense attorney. I stepped in his shoes, and now I'm solo dolo. And now I got lonely kitchen nights, and I'm burning the midnight oil, and it's all on me. Right? And so I'm putting in the work, and I know for a fact everything is riding on what I do and don't do. And I realize if I need help, I need to be able to trust that person. Man, I'll tell y'all a story. I was now the lead attorney doing a lot of murder cases. And then a brother approached me. He was like, man, what you think about us working together on cases? And so I was like, man, that's a win-win situation. That's two heads. We both get knee deep in these cases, man. Man, ain't no telling how we could take on the whole state of Louisiana. And so the first private case I got, I said, man, listen, you want to work with me? It's a murder case, man. Let's put our heads together and see what could happen. I said, man, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of money for you. He was like, bet, man, it's all good, man. Remember, we talked about working together. So right now, man, we just need to start learning how to work together, tackle this thing one by one. The value in our quote unquote partnership is going to be limitless. So he took on that case, filed his motion to enroll. He was co-counsel on this murder case. A lot riding on this second degree murder case. We lose, client go away for the rest of his life in prison. Angola, state penitentiary. And so leading up to it, I'm in the trenches, but I noticed, man, I don't get a whole lot of phone calls from him. I noticed the conversation doesn't appear to be, you know how it is, man. When you knee deep in something, there's a certain interaction with your partner or the person who's in it with you where the conversation is frequent. There was no frequent conversation. We started talking about, you're going to get these witnesses, I'm going to get these witnesses. I just felt like, are we really trying this case together? Y'all, we finally get to day one of the trial. We there to pick a jury. My guy shows up. He said, Willis. He suited up. He didn't file his motion to enroll. We ready to go. I got my assistant there with me. My guy looks at me in the eyes and say, Willis, I'm here for your support. I said, you here for my support? I thought to myself, I said, support? My parents, my family members showed up at my graduation from undergrad and law school to support me, but they didn't take the bar exam with me. My friends showed up to support me at my ceremony, but they didn't take the bar with me. Cause I need you. I don't need you to support me. I need you to be in the trenches with me. What are you talking about support? We about to go to battle and you telling me you here to support me? You showed up with a legal pad? We need to talk about these intricate issues and these motions. And so he had a look in his face where I was like, oh man, I don't even know if this dude ready. And so the whole time you told me you wanted to work with me and here I go, it's trial time and you tell me you here to support me? And that's when it hit me when I realized, many, many years ago, when I wanted to assist somebody else as their co-counsel in their second chair, he probably had experiences in the past where when it was crunch time, where you at? Co-counsel show up for the support. And so here I go, it's crunch time, and you tell me I'm here to support you. In other words, what you mean is, listen, man, don't look for me to really pick this jury with you. Don't look for me to cross-examine any of these officers. I whisper in your ear, I send you some notes, but I ain't really knee deep in this case. I ain't really get into the weeds of this case. Don't look for me for that. Don't turn to me and think I'm going to take care of an entire witness. I am here to support you. It's that trust. And so that helped me understand, I see what my colleague told me many, many years ago, man. He knew at the end of the day it's going to fall on him because he couldn't trust second chair to come and bring his A game. And so it's a different level of intention. It's a different level of focus. You got to make sure if you want to evolve, you want to get that trial experience, you want to work with somebody, you got to let them know you can trust me. I'm showing up. I'm immersed. I did research you didn't do. Are you willing to take it that extra mile? Because that person needs to know. I need to know if I'm in the trenches and I'm double teamed, I'm triple teamed, I got the ball, it's hard for me to create the shot. I need to know I could pass you the ball and you're going to be in that perfect spot to shoot it. I'm triple teaming. I don't want to have that feeling, man. If I pass you the ball, that thing going to go doom, 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 doom. into the stands. Because you ain't at your spot. You ain't at your post. I came up in here relying on you, and you talking about you showed up for the support. You in the stands. I pass you that ball, and that thing go doop, 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 into the stands, man. Right? And sometimes I don't even need you to take the shot. I just need to pass it to you. Let me get free. Let me run around like Steph Curry, and then you pass it back, and then I'll take the shot. I just free me up a little bit. Just cross-examine one witness. Just help me pick the jury. Just do some research. While I'm dealing with, I got to spend this entire night to prepare for this lead detective. I need you to do this research to file this appeal just to preserve the record. I don't got time to focus on doing all that research because come tomorrow morning, I got to cross-examine this lead detective with a whole case turned on his investigation. So you either with me or you not. If you not with me, don't tell me let's work together. I could do this all on my own. I'd rather be in this thing solo dolo rather than relying on some lukewarm co-counsel saying, I want to help you. Nah, man. That's why people can't trust help. Be careful with volunteers. I don't need your volunteerism. I'd rather pay you so I can at least know you're going to show up and I could count on you. Maybe. That's a different level of intent when you got to show that the person you want to work with can trust you. You won't be in the trenches. You want to get the experience. You want to pick the jury. You want to cross-examine. You want to one day deliver the closing argument. You got to attach yourself to somebody that's doing the work, and you got to make sure they trust you. You got to do work in such a way that they can depend on you. And don't look for a dime. Yeah. Even before you become a lawyer, you got to get to law school first. What's your level of intent there? Some of you think, oh man, if I'm in college, I'm at an institution of higher learning, I go to class every day, I'm going to go to professional school someday because I'm showing up. No, showing up is not enough. Me showing up at Baldwin to run with the fellas was not enough to keep up. It was not enough to evolve. It was about my level of intent. I needed to actively run multiple days out the week. I needed to start looking at my time, looking at my diet. Maybe I need to go on a marathon. Maybe I need to travel with them and compete. How much time you putting in the books? Are you actively desiring to evolve? Or are you just showing up? Are you just consistently being stagnant? I remember being at Southern, man. You know, everybody knew about the student union. The student union, that was the place. You know, that was the edifice. The student union, y'all. Smith Brown Memorial Student Union at Southern University in Baton Rouge. Shout out to Southern University. That was the spot. Don't talk about Pretty Wednesday. Oh, man, Pretty Wednesday, y'all. Man, you got to understand, man, back in the day, I don't know how it go these days, but I'm talking early 2000s. Man, Pretty Wednesdays, man, the ladies dressing nice. The fellas dressing nice. Right? Something about Pretty Wednesday, man. Come noon, everybody at the student union. Having a good time, laughing, chilling, joking, eating, good vibes, man. This college, y'all. This HBCU, this the HBCU experience, y'all. We having a good time, but guess what? As my mother-in-law would always say, all good things come to an end. Yes. See, I had to understand, it's a grand time. We having fun. Don't talk about football season. They might have a pep rally and a human jukebox might be out here. But guess what? All good things come to an end. I got a class at 2:00. I got lunch. I'm in here at noon. My fellas here, the ladies here. We having a good time. I got class at 2. But then I got an in-between period where I either can continue to chill at the union or I could go to the library, which is adjacent to the union. What's my level of intent? Because we having a good time right now and nobody look like they trying to leave. And the more and more time progresses, the more and more other folks show up that we know, friends, people from back home. We just showing up, good times, good vibes. But that clock ticking, yeah. What's your level of intent? How focused are you? It becomes hard, right? I had to know, look, it was nice while it lasted, but I got to put the work in. I got a class and I need to be adequately prepared. And even if I think I'm prepared and nothing really ain't going on in that class, I need to prepare for the class that's coming at 3:00. Oh, I got a test that's coming up in the next couple of days. Maybe I need to use this small amount of time, this small window of time in between student union and my 2:00 to just solidify. I know the material so I can knock that test out the park. Yeah, folks, you know, a lot of people, man, we ain't gonna need all this in our career. Man, we had to learn a whole lot of material in college. We had to go through college and learn stuff we'll never apply in our everyday life. That's not what it's about. So what if you don't need to apply this in your everyday life? They trying to figure out when you matriculate through college and then move on to your profession, they trying to see what did you do with all that time and all that freedom and the vicissitudes of life, the challenges, the setbacks. What did you do? And they look at the GPA. See, a lot of times, man, college is a beautiful place, man. Long-lasting friendships you build. It seems like it'll last forever. That window will close on you. What's your level of intent? You trying to get to law school, man, they trying to figure out who's the cream of the crop on an academic standpoint. Yeah, see, my LSAT wasn't high. My law school admission test, I couldn't score high on that thing. Nah, wasn't happening. I took all kind of practice exams, spent a whole lot of time, whole lot of money. It just was, it just a little nudge. Getting that score, just a little nudge. Not enough. But see, my body of work needed to speak for me. Okay. Don't focus too much on that LSAT. Look at my GPA. Look at the fact that I graduated in 3 years. Look at the fact that I graduated as the student marshal, meaning I was the top of the class in 3 years in the College of Business at Southern University. Because what that's telling you is I had a certain level of focus. See, the mantra at Southern University Law Center was the seriousness of purpose. I saw that when I walked in SULC, but I realized, man, I already was walking in that purpose. I already had that mindset. I already had that level of intent, a seriousness of purpose. That was my mental state of mind. Showing up wasn't enough. See, you could show up to the law school and just think, because I'm here, I'm going to be a lawyer. And because I'm here, I'm going to get what I need to succeed. Man, when you show up the first day, the professor say, look to your left, look to your right, because somebody sitting next to you may not be here come next semester. And you think you just going to evolve by osmosis. That's not how this works. What is your level of intent? Are you actively desiring to elevate and run with the movers and the shakers? You got to put everything you have in pursuing that mission to make sure you can achieve that outcome. And if that means putting in the extra hours, putting in the work, associating yourself with other people who doing the work, volunteering your service, building trust, buying books, spending extra time, sitting in court sometimes. Sometimes you need to just show up in court and just watch. Your name don't need to be on the docket. You don't need to have a case, a client. Just show up to court and just watch and see what happens. Some of us got too much pride, right? I walked into court a couple of weeks ago. One of the judges said, Mr. Willis, can I help you with anything? I said, no, Judge, I'm just here to observe. And it wasn't that the judge was being ugly or anything. The judge just saw me, know who I am, so know that normally if I'm in court, I got a matter to take up. No, Judge, I'm just here to observe. 15 plus years in a game, I'm still learning. I told you, that's why they call this the practice of law. I'm constantly trying to evolve. I could never know too much. What's our level of intent? If we trying to take it to the next level, if we being serious about it, if I'm serious about being a better runner, the pack, the brothers that I'm running with, maybe I need to run with them outside of just Saturdays. Maybe I need to take the trip with them and talk, man. Tell me how you elevated from just being stagnant to where you are today, where you can compete and you can run 10, 15, 20 miles like it ain't nothing, man. Tell me your story. How you got from where I am running only 3-4 miles to now you at 15. You running in the sun. Y'all going to Selma, Alabama and competing with all that sun beaming down on y'all. I don't even want to talk about that. I get anxiety just thinking about it. Tell me your story, brother. I got to actively desire a certain result. Yeah, see, a lot of times, man, when that new year come, how you looking? I'm not judging, no judgment. I'm staying in the mirror. Now, how we looking? Are we coming with the same energy we had in January? I'm not judging. How we looking? See, because a lot of time when we want to evolve and we got this new chapter, this new year, there's a lot of new things we want to do. Man, I want to speak a different language. I want to learn how to do this. I want to work on my health. I want to get spiritually connected. I want to do, we got all these things we want to do. We want to evolve, but sometimes we don't have the capacity to evolve. We got so much going on. We don't have the capacity to put in a certain amount of time, because whenever you're doing something new, you don't need me to tell you, man, you got to put in a lot of work to change your normal habits. I'm out here. I told y'all my first episode, I am like a fish out of water. I don't know nothing about speaking, with turning the camera on, mics, and what type of mic to get and what type of camera to get, what software system. I don't know anything about this. I had to go to YouTube University to learn all this by myself. But what was my level of intent? And I had to carve out time, because I knew if I tried to do this sometime last year, I wouldn't have had the time. I wouldn't have had the capacity, because it takes a certain level of time. You gotta get into the weeds. You gotta get into the nuances. You got to research certain things you never thought about. I never thought about what's the quality of the headphone set that I need to get. Is this reasonably priced? What about this software system? They got 1 million software systems. What makes this one better than the next one? Who do I talk to? Who's in this space? I'm in court every day. I don't know people who doing this. There's a few people that I had to sit down and say, man, tell me what your experiences were, good, bad, or ugly. I need to know. I need to carve out time to get to know this industry, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I got to put in the work. What's my level of intent? There's levels. Yeah. What's my level of intent? Right? I'm trying to figure things out, man. So now I got my phone and I'm like, oh man, I gotta have a good phone for social media, a quality camera on my phone. I need to start saving more things on my phone. I realize I don't have enough space on my phone to create videos. So I'm trying to figure the phone thing out. Me saying, man, I don't want to buy a new phone. I had an old phone. Right. But I'm like, I'm old school. I'm like, it works. You could call, people could text me. I don't need a new phone. I'm not the dude that's every year I'm going to get a new iPhone. I'm not that dude. Holler at me every 4.5 to 5 years. It worked. Phone call, text message. That's all I need. Emails. I'm good. This is a smartphone, right? This is a smartphone. This way more elevation than a flip phone, right? I'm good. It's smart. I'm good. But I realized, man, if you trying to get in this content space, man, it was so bad, y'all. I'm like, man, I can't store nothing. I try to spend more money to get more iCloud space. I don't know what was going on, but I couldn't save one video on my phone. So I called the person up from my subscriber. I said, listen, what's going on? She said, Kenneth, your phone does not have the capacity to bring more videos into your phone. You don't have enough physical space in your phone. So the fact that you purchase more iCloud space and you want to delete some of your videos and some of your text messages, or maybe you want some of your videos to go to your iCloud, it's not going to automatically go to your iCloud because you don't have enough physical space for your phone to do what it needs to do so it can get to the iCloud. A lot of times, man, when we trying to evolve, we don't have the capacity to spend the time that we need to spend to get that thing off the ground because we caught up into too many other things. Yeah, you want to speak a new language. How much time you committed to speak a new language? Oh, I'm going to get Babbel. All right, you still got to put work in Babbel. They make it sound good like, it's easy, 1, 2, 3. No, you still got to put in the work. You still need to be speaking that language frequently. Yeah, I want to learn how to speak Creole. Okay, you might want to be speaking that every day. Yeah, but I'm just trying to hurry up and tell this person what they need to do because I got to hurry up and get to this meeting and all this yada yada. I don't got time to be speaking in a whole nother language. Man, I got to go. I got to move. You don't have the capacity to get it off the ground. You won't be a trial lawyer, but you too caught up. You got too many things going on where you know if you in trial, you're going to lose money, right? Your calling is to be in a courtroom and to try cases. You know you got that burning desire to be a trial lawyer, but the problem is you ain't making enough bread in that area. So you in another area. It's cool, and you know, and that other area requires time. So now you got to make a decision. Now you got to make a decision. Yeah, you might need to put money to the side and say, listen, man, this needs to hold me down. My passion is calling me. I'm gravitating to this criminal defense world. I need to carve out space, right? My cup doesn't need to be 100% full. Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Lawless. Shout out to my good friend, Alexandra Lawless. She is a psychologist and she's worked with me for many trials and helped me pick juries. And every now and then, man, I just got to sit on her couch. She's a psychologist. And I said, Dr. Alex, I said, listen, got to put respect on her name. But I said, Alex, I ain't going to lie to you. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little worried about growth. I'm worried that I might not have the capacity to grow. I don't know. This a fast-paced environment. This criminal defense industry I'm in, running a practice is fast-paced. Trying to keep the lights on. Now I gotta go in court. Now I gotta build a practice. Now I gotta get the dough to swing. I gotta market. I gotta be prepared. When I walk in the courtroom, I gotta be on. But I need clients coming at my office. I need my phone to ring. But I'm in trial for a whole week. I don't know if I have the capacity. I don't know if I'm ready for this kind of growth. I know New Orleans need more talent. I know I'm born to do what it is I want to do, but I don't know if I have the capacity to do it. I don't want to find myself running myself into the ground. She said, Kenneth, I just need you to understand, you can't let your cup be too full. Always have your cup halfway. Don't keep it full. So whenever it get crazy, whenever you get high volume cases or you in court a lot, seem like this particular month, you in trial back to back to back. Whenever you got that situation, because your cup is halfway full, then when you got a crazy month, then it gets full. So you got room, you got capacity. Some of us are operating with a high level of capacity. So when we want to evolve, there's no room. Yeah. Appreciate that, Dr. Lawless. Your check is in the mail. She be doing her thing in court, helping me out with trials. That's getting advice. That's understanding that you need to sit down with somebody else because you don't know it all. That's a certain level of intent. Y'all, that's my time, man. I hope I was able to inspire somebody, motivate, encourage. Whatever you want to call it, it was a real experience just running with those boys. Shout out to Black Men Run New Orleans. I love y'all boys. Listen, man, keep tuning in. I'm going to keep bringing that energy, inspiration. We in the news. We seeing what's popping. Hopefully y'all could get some good nuggets from this message. I appreciate y'all, man. Until next time, check you later.
Call your first witness. I got Kenneth Willis. He bought his business, he gon' take it the distance. Listen, he giving gaming, believe in high level representation. Call your first witness. Yeah, call your first witness.
Griff has been paid for this endorsement.